It's Holly. I'm back again, and I'm going to finish this video off. The final parts of healing and from narcissistic abuse, and this is the last part, and this will be what I've been doing to heal and how I got out of the relationship. It's been really difficult. I'm still healing. I am a little bit emotional this part, because as much as the relationship was not good and it is really hard, they say that it is harder to break from a narcissistic abuse because it wasn't that they broke your heart, but they broke your soul. And they really do break your soul. And healing from it is not easy. I have struggled. It's been 7 months, and I feel like it just happened yesterday. I felt like the only way for me to leave was if I ended my life, because I felt so trapped in that relationship. But I know that there was a moment when this was just before, it was the day before we broke up and he moved out. Because I had told him, like, he couldn't live there no more. He needed to leave. Like, it was done, because it was too much. And our cat, well, his cat, Stubbs, she came up to me, and I was, doing my business in the bathroom, and I was about to do it, and she came up and she started purring. She doesn't do this. She's this old little cat. She doesn't really come up. She doesn't cuddle. She doesn't really purr very much or whatever. And she kind of came up to me, and she just got into my lap, and she started purring, and she really at that moment saved me in that moment, and made me realize, like, I have more to live for. And the next day I chose to tell him to get out and pack his stuff and, like, leave, that I couldn't do this anymore. And I mean, the police were involved and stuff like that, because he tried to have me admit it to the hospital, because he said that I was crazy, that I needed to be admitted, and it was because that he didn't want to leave, and he tried to have it where I left and that I was unstable. And I was unstable, but I was unstable because of his behavior and because of who he is and how he made me feel about who I was. He made me feel like I was nothing. Like, he made me feel like the only way I could, he made me feel like I had to end my life because I was no good in this life. Like, he made me feel like I was nothing. He really made me feel like I was nothing. So, but it backfired on him, and they made him leave, because I'm positive that they had seen a narcissist before, and they didn't play into his games, so they made him leave. And that was the end of our relationship. And he left, and I felt so much better. But the months after that, it was hard, because I was stuck with a house that was $1,700 plus, which I could not afford. So I had to move and look for a new place, and I didn't know if I could do it, and I didn't know if I was ready to leave him, but I needed to be ready to leave him. But then I was still kind of wanting to see him, and I ended up moving into my own apartment, and things were starting to look up for me. I started going to counseling, I've already was in counseling, but started to see a trauma and abuse therapist, and I started learning about narcissist abuse, and how to heal from it. And I just didn't realize that I really didn't want to see throughout the relationship that he was a narcissist, because he was so good at manipulating, and he had a narcissist have a they want you to see what they want you to see. So he had a cover, and it was, you know, that he used to tell people that he was that he is an empath, and he still probably tells people that he is this empath, but he isn't. I don't actually remember him actually feeling what other people feel. I never actually seen him cry when somebody else is like, I never really seen him actually be an empath. Feel like his son is an empath. He used to say that all the time, that his son was an empath. 100% his son was an empath. He felt everything that everybody else felt. Usually that's why me and him and his son didn't get along, because when I was not doing well, his son was not doing well. But I couldn't think of him as an empath or I thought he was an empath because he worked with old people. And the only time that I ever seen him be an empath was with old people. And I was like, but if you're an empath, how can you just be an empath with old people? But really, it's a narcissist. They do things that benefit them. Every single relationship, I mean, for anybody, I guess, any relationship you have benefits you in some way. But for a narcissist, there's almost no emotion to it. They could be almost no emotion if that relationship ended. They might be a little bit sad. They might, you know, whatever, but they move on. They move on almost as quickly as they started that relationship. So that's a narcissist. So like, they could be sad, but they figure out how to deal with it in a way that they could care less. So working with old people, they kind of, for one, these old people are dementia, so they don't really know you. They don't really remember you, and you don't really get a relationship with them. The relationship you do get, they end up, and their lives end, and then you move on. You move on to your another client. And I never really noticed it before until we broke up, and I started really seeing the narcissist stuff, is that he really wasn't an empath at all. And it was kind of crazy because I'm an empath, and I took on all of that emotion for everybody in that household. And same with all the other kids, actually. All the kids were empaths, but he kind of didn't. He didn't. And anyways, and so in counseling, I had a hard time talking about it, because I'm like, how can he be like a narcissist? Because narcissists are not nice people. They are liars, and they are cheaters, and they are people who manipulate and gaslight you, and they're just not good people. They really aren't. And especially the people that don't say that they are narcissists, who are like, nope, I'm not a narcissist. You have no idea what you're talking about. You know, there's a lot of narcissists that will say, yeah, I'm a narcissist and I don't care. And then you have the narcissists who say, no, I'm not a narcissist, and they claim to be somebody else. Those are the people that are even worse. And that's what my narcissist was. And the reason why I think, because he wasn't outright abusive like the rest of them. Like my dad was outright abusive with physical abuse and verbal abuse. And my kid's father, he was verbally and mentally abusive. So it was out there. It was very noticeable that he was abusive. But my narcissist was very, very cold, but he was so good at manipulating and turning the situation around and using it against, making other people think that I was the monster because I was mentally ill and I was unstable because of when my emotions get too high or something. I would do something that was like kind of crazy so people could say, oh, it was her, she was totally the one she was crazy, it was her, she was the abusive one. And he could use that, and he still uses it to this day, but I don't care because I know what the relationship was, and I know the effects that it's had on me now, and I know the people around me that are the closest to me know the relationship and how he was with me and how the effects that it's had on me and my children. But now that I know this, I'm going into counseling and therapy. I'm healing my soul and I'm healing myself by recognizing this, by going through the grieving process, because and understanding that as much as I think that it was love, I do know that I loved him in some way, and it was deep love, but it was abuse. And I see that he loved me in an abusive way. It was abuse, and I seen abuse growing up as love. So really it's not love. And so the way that I have done it is that I'm going to therapy, I'm talking through it, I'm trying to look at the red flags. I'm not going to settle. I'm not looking for relationships and jumping into them anymore. I'm really looking and saying, is this the person I want to be with? Is this something that I can deal with? Is this a red flag? And if my gut is saying that this is a red flag, then it's a red flag, and I'm not going to go and question it. The healing has been really difficult. Like I said, it's 7 months and I still feel like it was yesterday. But I think what has helped a lot is that since I've been diagnosed properly with bipolar within this time frame that we've been broken up, has helped me a lot with being able to grieve a little bit easier, because I can control myself a little bit better with my emotions and my mood. When I am down in my depressive state, it's a little bit harder. I feel like I miss him a lot. I feel like I want to message him and call him, and I look at his pictures and I'm like, oh, why couldn't he just be like when I first met him? Like, he was so nice to me and he was so good to me and he loved my children, but it was all a lie. And that's how abusive relationships are. When I'm in therapy and she says, like, in abusive relationships, why people hold on. If it was all bad, people wouldn't hold on. There would be no reason to. But you see the good at points. So you hold on to those points and you're like, well, maybe we'll see this again and it'll last longer, or maybe it'll change. And you just keep going in your head over and over and over again that's what's going to happen. Unfortunately, toxic relationships most likely aren't going to change unless the other person who is toxic, or both of you, change that relationship. With narcissistic people, unless they actually go and get the help and say that they want the help and really want it and know that they are narcissistic, they will never change. They will continue this behavior with every single person that they're with. And unfortunately, it damages people's souls, and it really sucks because, the next person that he's with, I want to just save that person. I've become obsessed with saving that person, but I can't save that person. only that person can be saved by that person. And I have to move forward, and it is hard. It is hard to move on, and it's hard to move forward because I just want, it's hard. So I'm still in the midst of healing, but I am healing. I get a little bit better every single day. I don't want to ever be back with him ever again. He destroyed my soul. But my soul is coming back, and I am finding Holly, and I'm finding a whole new Holly since then. And I know that I wasn't to blame for everything. I know that there was things in there that I definitely, had reason. I take responsibility and accountability for stuff that happened in our relationship. I also know that I didn't do everything wrong, and that the relationship, it takes two to make one work, and it also takes two to break one and not make one work. So I really hope that this has helped anybody or somebody, helps open up your eyes. I hope that it wasn't too all over the place. I hope that that this can help somebody else. If you want to know anything else, you can comment in the comments below. I really hope that somebody can get something out of this. I don't know if it'll reach anybody. I don't know if it'll reach anybody at all. But if it does, and it helps somebody else, that's all that I want to do. That's why I put this out there. Just let me know. Don't forget to like my videos. And again, if you want to know anything, if you want even a suggestion for my videos, like to help me do better videos, that would be awesome. Just put a comment below. So thank you for listening, and I hope that I've done an okay job, and I've given enough information to know a little bit about narcissistic behavior and how to leave or the healing process. Just anything. A little bit of information can go a long way. All right. Bye.